that. Having said that, Doctor, one of the major challenges in social media or the social media age is fake news. Now, how do we detect it and navigate our way around this?
So fake news detection is a major challenge, and a report recently by Oxford University has said it's affecting up to 48 countries in the world. That's social media manipulation, and it's incredibly difficult to detect, and people are still developing the tools and methods to detect, say, fake news, and also how it's spread. So it's still a very emerging area. So the ordinary person, even I sometimes have difficulty when I'm researching a particular topic and I have social media accounts in front of me. I can't tell if they're a real person or not.
Now, we've got currently going on is the counting after the Zimbabweans went to elections yesterday.
Yes.
And it's quite an exciting time for us as South Africans. Of course, 20 odd years now into our democracy, South Africa is coming up to their national election next year. Now, what are the options for our political parties here, considering most of them, or the large part of the electorate, actually reside in rural areas? So one might think then that not all of them might be using Twitter or exposed to it, or might have smartphones for that matter. How does that dynamic play out?
Yep, so that's a good point. And in some of the talks I'm running this week, I've got some demographics on that. In Europe, internet penetration is around 80%, and social media use is 50% on average in European cities. In South Africa, internet penetration is around 50%, and social media around 35%. But if we look from last year to this year, there was an increase by 20% in social media users. So the trend seems to be going upwards. So I think over the coming years, people will be using social media more and more. Another interesting aspect we found was when we looked at research looking at the time spent on social media compared to the United Kingdom and South Africa. Although South Africa had less people using the platforms, it appeared that when they were using it, they'd be using them for a longer period of time. So on average, it was 2 hours, 15 minutes, whereas in the United Kingdom, it was 1 hour and 5 minutes on average.
Now, you've been researching a lot of this and looking to it, but what's the dangers, of being constantly on social media? Do you think there's some serious ramifications? Should we within ourselves, and you as an expert, and I don't know if you can talk to this, but actually have a cooling off period where we can almost unplug?
Yep. So that's another good point. And also, if we look at the last 15 years or so, this has been a golden generation for social media platforms. Although they were around for a long time, there's been an explosive growth in the last, 10 years. And I would argue as a society, we're not fully aware of all of the consequences of using social media platforms. And recent research has suggested that in younger people, social media use can lead to depression and mental illness. And Facebook also admitted that if you use their platform for just viewing content, that indeed it could lead to depression.
Now, on a personal note, Doc, how can we make social media work for us? On a personal level, say for me, for my business, or for Lotus FM, the radio station that you're, of course, currently being interviewed by, how can we sufficiently utilize this tool, I would say positively?
Yeah, so you need to remember if we look at marketing trends in South Africa, online content has appeared in, say, the top 5. So when people are deciding on whether they're going to purchase a product or a service, before it was television, magazines, newspaper, using online interfaces such as social media has slowly crept in, and I think it's in the top 4, and it's rising as well. So if you are developing content online and on social media, you can potentially interest, say, customers or clients if you're a business. If you're an individual, if you're putting yourself out there, say by tweeting engaging content or putting content on Facebook using LinkedIn, you can generate a buzz and awareness. And I would say it's important to do the simple things right. So many people, even celebrities, they may not have an adequate bio on their profiles. Their picture may be blurry or not visible. So it would be to start with, say, doing the simple things right, and then producing engaging content on a regular basis. You would be able to gain more interest from people who might be interested in your brand and product. And you could use advanced influencer identification as well, and try to find people who may be of interest in your community and try to target them.
Now, Doc, it's South Africa, of course, coming from the dark days of apartheid. It's hard to shed the race tag because we were divided at levels of school, of society, etc. But what we found recently, there have been a few celebrities in South Africa that got themselves into some hot water with the racism tag because they've been tweeting things that are interpreted as racist, and sometimes you can almost assume that. What makes someone now go and tweet something where when you look at it in hindsight, you think, well, why on earth would you do that?
Yep. So I've seen in the UK as well and in the rest of the world, every couple of weeks there's an incident where a celebrity or a politician has tweeted something, and then you look at it and it's really, really inappropriate. So in the United Kingdom, there was a MP who tweeted a picture recently of a Muslim mayor of London, and they put his face on a pig, and it got massive amounts of backlash. And then you look at it now, and it's crazy for him to have shared that. But I think because social media is such real time and everything's happening so fast, the decision making is, you have less time to think critically of sharing an image or sharing something on social media. People are looking for quick highs, massive retweets and shares, but they might not think of the consequences. And it can happen to anyone. So I always advise people who are using social media to think carefully before they post. And in universities across the UK and organizations, most of us have social media policies we have to abide by as well. And it gives different tips and suggestions in there.
Well, Doctor, thank you very much for that. Just on a lighter note, I see that, I must tell you, you're coming to a city in Durban that has a huge Manchester United following. I see that you've had some association with them. I just thought you'd maybe, on a lighter note, share something with us.
Yeah, so that was last year. I speculatively messaged them on LinkedIn. I said, I'm a social media scholar, analyst. Would you be interested in doing some work with me? And I didn't expect them to reply. And I even forgot I messaged them. And then a couple of weeks later, I got a message back. And then a couple of weeks after that, I managed to set up an internship. And I was working there next to Old Trafford. And it was amazing. I'm also a lifelong fan of the club as well. So it was amazing to be actually working there. I still can't believe it. I had the official email address. We would have lunch in the stadium, and they gave me some tickets at the end as well to watch Michael Carrick's testimonial. So it was amazing.
Nothing wrong with that, absolutely. Dr. Wasim Ahmed, it's been a pleasure chatting to you. We wish you a successful trip here in South Africa, and well, all the very best going forward.
Thank you very much, and nice to speak with you as well.
Fantastic.